without further ado, I think we'll get started if you're all right.
Sounds good.
Okay, so welcome everyone. And this is the Midlothian Property Market Update event. My name is Karen and I work with the ESPC marketing team. So I'll be hosting the event today and asking questions and just general helping out. So with us today we have Ash, who's from ESPC. She'll be giving us the Midlothian Property Market Update to start us off. And then we have Craig from McDougall McQueen, and he will be answering all your pre-submitted questions today. So if you do have any other questions as we go through the event, we have a wee Q&A box at the bottom of the webinar. So just feel free to pop anything in there. And if we have time, we can get round to it and ask before we finish off the event for today. Without further ado, we'll get started with Ash, who's going to provide us with our overall update.
Thanks so much, Karen. Hi, everyone. I hope you are having a lovely Tuesday so far. So yeah, as Karen was saying there, I'm just going to run you through a little bit of a market update on Midlothian, just the market data and the performance that we are seeing over the last quarter, so July through to September 2021. So over the last quarter and in general, I think it is safe to say that we're seeing lots of interest in properties in Midlothian. So it's a great time if you're considering selling your property. There's been a lot of competitiveness for properties across all of our sales metrics that we see within ESPC. And that really highlights a strong buyer demand in the area. So I'm just going to run you through some stats. Don't worry, there's quite a few in here. So if you do want any more information, please just get in contact with us. We'll be happy to send that through to you again. So for the last quarter, so covering off July to September, we're going to just run through some figures year on year. So the average selling price for Midlothian was 244k. So that's currently this quarter. And that's actually up from £240,000, 40,000k. And that's a 1.5% increase year on year. There was also a 16.8% increase in sales volume compared to 2020. So looking back to last year. And that's really just highlighting buyer demand again. So we can see that that's on the increase. Properties are selling super quickly at the moment. So if we have a look at that, the average time from when it goes live in the market to when that goes to under offer was just 12 days, which is absolutely phenomenal. So properties are flying off the shelf essentially. And that's actually 13 days quicker than it was the same period last year. So yeah, properties are selling really quickly. So when we have a look at how much properties are achieving over home report value, on average, we're looking at the moment for the last quarter, 107%. So that's 7% on average for the whole area over home report valuation. And that's a 5% increase on 2020 for the same period there. We had 47% of properties that are coming to market are actually going to closing dates. So we can see that there's still quite a lot of interest when they do come onto the market there too. So despite the high levels of buyer interest that we are seeing, we're starting to see a slowdown in the number of properties within that quarter of properties that are actually coming onto the market. So everything that's been listed through ESPC. When we look at the new listings, they're down by 35% year on year. And that's down, just to give you a little bit of a comparison to the year previous, so 2019, it's down 8% in comparison to that year as well. So we're still seeing really strong sales volumes in the popular areas of Dalkeith, Penicuik, and also Lone Head. And the days to under offer in Penicuik, just to give you a bit of background information, was just 9 days. So just over a week. And that's actually one of the fastest in the whole of ESPC at the moment for that quarter. I think with a lot of people looking now for a little bit of extra space, some potential garden, I know that I would love that. We know that 3-bedroom houses in Penicuik and also Dalkeith have proven to be really popular. So 3-bedroom houses in Dalkeith are achieving on average a selling price of £253,000, which again is up 26% year on year. So I think what I'd say is, and I'm sure Craig will talk you through this when he answers your questions, this is just average prices and selling times. So to get more information on those stats, definitely have a word with Craig. who would be able to talk you through all of that, or we can give you more information. But I'd strongly suggest that you do talk to your solicitor to get a little bit more information, because these are just averages, and lots of different areas are all different. We also do have properties coming on. I know things are selling quickly, but we do have properties coming on to ESPC 3 days before they go anywhere else. So if you are looking to buy, then definitely sign up to our match and mail service as well. But before I hand over to Craig, if there's any other stats that you need from us or anything else that you want to find out, please just get in touch and we'd be more than happy to help you there. But yeah, that's a little bit of a market update, and I'm sure Craig will be able to fill you in a little bit more there.
Thanks, Ash.
Perfect. All right, are you ready for the Q&A? Or would you like, yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So just off the back of Ash, I know there was a lot of information there. Don't worry, we will send up a follow-up email to those of you who are joining us today, just to link to our Midlothian home report, which has everything that Ash has covered there. So no worries if you haven't jotted all that down. So Craig, we'll get started on the Q&A. We had a few pre-submitted questions ahead of the event today, and we felt that if some of them were similar, we grouped them together. But like I said, if there is anything that you would want covered in more depth, or something you feel that we've not touched on, please just pop it in the question and answer box, and we'll do our best to answer those today. If not, we will get in touch with you guys, and you can ask the question via email, and we'll pop you in touch with either someone from ESPC or pass you over to Craig. So first question, are there affordable houses for first-time buyers in Midlothian, and what areas would you recommend?
Right, well, that's an interesting question. I mean, Midlothian has, as Ash has said, Midlothian has really succeeded in the last few years because it's affordable. You get outside space, and it's been one of the sort of main areas that people in Edinburgh, when they've struggled to get on the property market, have looked at, because it's close to Edinburgh, great transport links, and fundamentally just a great place to live. If I was identifying the areas in Midlothian, I'd probably say Gorebridge, Dalkeith, Mayfield, Woodburn. Generally, those areas are a bit more affordable than some of the other areas like Pennycook and Roslin. You generally see anything that's close to Edinburgh, the prices start to come up, and as you go further away, like Gorebridge, it tends to get slightly lower. So they're the areas that we would generally say first-time buyers, they've got a good opportunity to get a reasonably priced house or flat there.
Fantastic. And what's the most popular property type in Midlothian?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a quick look at our own stats. It's interesting to see what Ash had said as well. I think 3-bedroom in Pennycook at the moment, you just can't find for love nor money. But yeah, the 3-bedroom, either ex-local authority properties, there's plenty of them in Midlothian. They've always proved quite popular. Some of the or the old mining cottages, they're also really popular. So it tends to be the sort of 3-bedroom, either semi-detached or terraced, or houses that the most popular, and that's probably probably one of the larger stocks that we have in Midlothian, that type of house. So yeah, that's what I'd be saying.
And this question is for someone who's experiencing this situation, who is attending the event today. So I'm trying to buy a house in Midlothian, but keep missing out. What advice would you give to secure a property?
Yeah, it's the one thing that we're asked all the time. I'm not sure I've got the sort of silver bullet for this one. I mean, fundamentally, you just got to keep trying. That's the sort of the golden rule in property. If you miss it the first time, like your grandmother might have say to you, "What's for you won't go by you." It's not the best message, and once you've got to about the 8th attempt failed, you kind of get fairly fed up with it. But there's a lot of truth in that. I mean, what we're seeing at the moment is there's a lot of properties that go to closing date, get a good offer, and they may fall down somewhere along the conveyancing process, either because the buyer's not managed to get funding. So I would be saying to people, look, don't just look for what's coming on the market. Look at some of the older stock. Just because they've been on the market doesn't mean it's a bad property. There's often a story behind it. Like simply it was high demand, but the buyer didn't manage to secure their loan, it falls back into the market 6-7 weeks later. And not depending on what you're looking at, you might have missed that it's come back on. So keeping in touch with local agents, or if you have put up an offer in at a property closing date, just keep an eye on it, because you never know. Particularly at the moment, these properties increasingly are coming back on. The agent should be contacting you if you were close, but yeah, just don't go for the newest ones. Have a good look. Fixed price properties, they're a good opportunity for people to pick up a reasonably priced property without the competition of a closing date.
And with regards to Midlothian, is now a good time to sell?
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, Ash has talked about the stats. It's incredible how busy we've been this year, and I don't see that changing. Fundamentally, there's just not enough stock, and Midlothian's really struggle with that. I mean, Ash has said that the time properties are on the market, it's for the first time ever probably under where Edinburgh is. It's performed all year better than Edinburgh. So if you're going to look to sort of secure the right price, now's the time to do it.
And another one from someone who's attending today. I'm a first-time buyer and I'm interested in getting a project property. Is Midlothian a good place to do this?
Yeah, I would say definitely. Depends how. Well, it depends what experience you've got in renovation. And certainly there's a lot of properties that will or could benefit from TLC, and you can get some value there. There are some renovation projects available, but Midlothian's got a real sort of array of different types of property that's available. But there's certainly a lot of properties in Midlothian that you can add value to by just a lick of paint or doing some changes, some fairly basic cosmetic changes. So, and for the more bolder builders, they're going to seek them out generally before the general public. So, yeah, I would say that Midlothian, if you keep your eye on the SPC, there's enough stock there for people that want to get involved in some sort of property development.
And are flats in Midlothian becoming less popular?
They're not as popular as houses with gardens. I mean, flats without gardens aren't as popular as houses with gardens, and that's been the story of COVID or the last 2 years as a result of COVID, and that's in Edinburgh. It's in every area. So I would say that yes, they haven't moved at the same pace as a house. That's probably true.
Yeah, and a bit more of a tricky question: how is the market going to perform for the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, I personally, I wouldn't be looking at the rest of this year. I think the rest of these years, there's enough momentum to see us through to the end of this year. I would be probably looking at a bit more long term, thinking about 2022 and beyond. So, big caveat as always: don't have a crystal ball. There's nothing in nothing that I've got that can tell you exactly what's going to happen next year. But I think we're likely to see a bit softening next year. That's my own personal view. It's not my firm's view. I think there's enough going on in the news to suggest that might happen. Longer term, I can't see anything other than an upward curve for property, just because of the amount of money in the whole financial system. The fixed assets such as property and some other assets are always going to increase. But I think that there might be a bit of a softening. Certainly, historically, we don't have for a longer period that we've seen over a year, prices continuing to rise, and that's been a fairly sustained rise this year. So it's difficult to see that will continue for another year. I think you'll probably see it will level off. I'm not suggesting it's going to drop, but I do think there's going to be just a bit more softening into next year.
And how much over home report value should I expect to pay on a property in Midlothian?
Yeah, I think this is one sort of misunderstanding a lot of people have, that there's a sort of general 10% rule or whatever. And this is where you can really benefit from speaking to a local solicitor or a estate agent who's got local knowledge, because Midlothian isn't the same across the board. Pennycook performs slightly different to Dalkeith and Gorebridge. So understanding the demand at that particular time and for that particular property is really important. You shouldn't just blanket and say, right, I better put 10 or 15%. You can get caught out there. So I think, you know, it's not a general answer. It's not. I know it's a general question, but it's certainly not a general answer. I would be looking and assessing the type of property I'm going for. I'd speak to my agent and say, look, what's similar properties going for, and they'll be able to tell you. And the great thing is they'll be able to tell you what's happening here and now, not what happened 3 months ago, what happened 2 months ago. They'll say, look, this is what we're seeing today, and that'll hopefully help you guide and get the right offer in.
Fab. And the last question, unless there's any last minute ones in the Q&A box, can buying a property and renting it remotely be achieved? Are there reputable agents that provide the service, and at what cost? Bit of a long one.
Yeah, okay, well, it can be achieved. I mean, it certainly, last year, a lot of agents, including ourselves, were allowing remote viewings. I think this year, what we've seen, because the demand's been so high, that most agents have suggested, well, actually, we're going to let the people that have gone physically to view the properties, they tend to get a head start. I don't know why that is, it's what prejudice we've got, but we tend to concentrate on those viewers that have actually seen the property, because what we're really doing there is sifting people and suggesting, well, if you've been and seen it and you like it, you're unlikely to have second thoughts during the conveyancing process. But there are people that will provide that service. We don't personally provide it for buyers. We will let people do a video viewing for sales. And the cost, well, I mean, I don't know what the general cost is because we don't provide that service, but it's part of our sales service part, you know, it's a free, or you've already paid for the fee, I guess, if you're doing the sale through us. So, yeah, I'd just be careful. Certainly renting is not a problem because the current rental regime allows you to come in and out of rentals quite quickly. Buying is a whole different matter. So you'd have to be fairly sure that it was the type of property you want. And I certainly, if you couldn't be there, I would always recommend you get a friend or a family member that you trust to go and look at the property, even if you're only being able to do it through a video.
Great. And I just had a wee look at the question answer box. We've not got any other questions, so I'm happy to think that you guys are satisfied with what we've covered. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And of course, a huge thanks to Ash and Craig for all the insight they've provided. And just a reminder that I will send out emails after this to all of the attendees and those who signed up with the Midlothian property market update and some more information that may be useful in your search for buying a property. And do keep an eye out for our next event. In 2 days' time, we've got an event focusing on the East Lothian market if you're interested in that as well. It will be the same format, and to sign up, it's the same process as well. So head to our events page. But if there's nothing else, that's the end of today's event. So thank you again, everyone. See you later.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
You.